Hi, and welcome to Nick's First Warning, where we're breaking down some of the biggest weather stories here in Central Texas. And with me to do all of this is our Chief Meteorologist, Nick Bannin. Nick, how you doing?
Hey, Esme, how you doing?
I'm doing great. We're getting into December, so it feels like it's getting cooler.
Yeah, and we have some signs of some pretty chilly air to begin the month of December, which is pretty fitting here, given that December marks the beginning of meteorological winter.
Finally.
Yes.
Well, Nick, I do want to ask you about Friendsgiving before we get into it. Tell us what's going on.
I'm glad you asked, because things have gone south in a hurry here for the evening team. You know, we've been winning much of the last 3 weeks, but Team Mornings got a $10,000 donation from a business earlier this morning that has turned the tables, shall we say. And here's where things stand as of 3 p.m.
It's not so close anymore.
Well, no, we were ahead by about 12 or 13,000 last night. We're now behind by about 4,500. But the deadline is 4 p.m. So if you're watching us on Facebook, if you're wherever you're watching this stream, KXAN.com/Friendsgiving is the place to go. And Team Evenings could really use your help. We're the underdog here. The morning team has won 3 out of the last 4 times. And they always make a late showing. I was telling everyone the last few days, as some other people in the newsroom were a little too overconfident for the evenings. I said they always turn up last minute, especially some of those big donors for the mornings.
And that's what happened
and they really
today.
Have. Yeah. I'll tell you, this may be a little off screen. Maybe I can fix that here off to the side. Let me climb up a little bit. The number of donors that we've had on the evenings, we can pop it back up again, 970. So
Wow.
We've had a lot of donations, and I'm certainly so grateful for all of you who have donated, honestly, to either team. The morning team, 970 donors for the evening, just 805 for the morning.
Just 805.
Yeah, so I mean they've managed to do get a lot of money from fewer donors, and props to them for that. And they have run a great campaign so far, and they're likely to win it. But there is still time for us to make a comeback here and come back in the next 53 minutes with about another $4,500. So if you have that lying around,
please donate.
And you want to send it to the KXAN weather team, we would not be upset about that. Mm-hmm. Where to do that, KXAN.com/Friendsgiving, and then make sure you click on the evening team. The morning team have done a great job raising awareness about the campaign. Of course, Kristen Curry leading the charge in the morning, and she is an adversary like none other for the Friendsgiving competition. But we'd like to win one. We were so close for so long. We were leading for such a long time, and then one $10,000 donation around 9 this morning has really handed it to them. So we'd love if you have been debating donating or wondering where to put your money. Central Texas Food Bank gets all the money in the end, regardless of which team you donate to. But we'd sure love it if you could donate to the evening team. KXAN.com/Friendsgiving, that QR code there. If you're watching us in a way that you can scan the QR code. If you're watching us on your phone, obviously it's more difficult. But KXAN.com/Friendsgiving is the place to go. And then make sure you click evening team and give that donation. Here's some good news, and I'm sure happy that we've both exceeded our goal by so much.
Yeah.
Even the evening team, I should say, has outraised last year's winner. So we're all doing great. Let me show you a graphic here that shows the comparison of last year's total to where we are so far this year. Last year, we raised a combined $174,000 for the Central Texas Food Bank. And this year, so far, $202,000.
That is wild. And it all goes to a great cause.
A great cause. I mean, the Central Texas Food Bank, more than ever, need our help this year. There was the government shutdown, which caused SNAP benefits to discontinue for a little bit and then come back. Mm-hmm. They had their busiest single day ever 2 Saturdays ago, when they delivered and handed out more meals than they ever have on a single day. Mm-hmm. So this is not money that is being lost because we've exceeded our goal. They'll take every additional penny. And there's also some other matches going on by two separate companies that have pledged to the Central Texas Food Bank that they will match donations up until Thanksgiving, which of course is tomorrow. So your dollar turns into not just an extra dollar for one match. It's a double match, really, or we're calling it a triple match because $1 becomes $3. Mm-hmm. And just $1 helps to provide 3 meals to people who need them here in Central Texas. So it's a worthy cause. If you've already donated and you still have a little left to spare, KXAN.com/Friendsgiving. By no means is this me saying I'm not grateful for what you have given. I am truly grateful, and this is such a great cause. It'd be really nice, though, if the evening team could take it over the line. If not, hey, that's fine. Still a lot of money raised for the Central Texas Food Bank. KXAN.com/Friendsgiving, and then click on evening team if you have it in your hearts.
Well, it all goes to a great cause.
Yeah,
that's true.
We're sure happy about that.
And it's almost over. So you have until 4 p.m. And I believe Kristen is joining you on the newscast shortly after this live stream, right?
Yep, she'll be joining me at 4 p.m. to rub it in, no doubt. But I'm sure happy to have her join me. And it's become a tradition now that at 4 o'clock on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, she tells me how much she won by. So here we go again.
Well, hopefully next year we can change that.
Next year.
We inspire everyone to donate to either team.
But it's still not too late. You've got another 49 minutes left to do it.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it, Nick. We have a December outlook waiting for us to look over. What can we expect this December?
Yeah, so December, the beginning of meteorological winter. From a rainfall perspective, it's not the worst news ever, but it's not great news considering that our drought continues to worsen. The odds are leaning slightly toward it being a drier than normal December compared to a normal December for rainfall. Now, December isn't usually one of our rainiest months anyway, but the fact that we're leaning drier than normal isn't great news. I say it's not the worst news ever because the odds of it being drier than normal are not that much higher than the odds of it being near normal or even wetter than normal. It's just leaning a little drier than normal, mostly from areas near and especially west of I-35 and into the hill country. So not good news there. December not usually wet, and I should say that while it says December rainfall, of course we can get wintry precipitation in the month of December too. So that includes all types of precipitation. Not just technically rain, but most of the time we get it in the form of rain in the winter.
Yeah. And can you remind us again, when is that start of meteorological winter?
Yeah, December 1st starts meteorological winter. It lasts through the end of February. The reason meteorologists do that and spread our seasons out by full months is that we are much more easily able to compare season to season, winter to previous winter, spring to previous spring, or the spring of 10 years ago, if you're comparing the exact same dates. Of course, astronomical seasons, the day those begin and end does shift around a little bit by a day or two each year, so it's harder to compare the seasons that way. But this way, we're able to look at the seasons in whole month chunks, and it makes for an easier comparison. And obviously, it also signs the beginning of chillier air coming into Central Texas.
So we're going to be drier than normal as far as rainfall, but what about temperatures?
So from a temperature perspective, the news for those that like it chilly is not as good because we're not just leaning warmer than normal. The odds trickle a little higher here that it's warmer than normal because the shading turns darker. And the darker the shading, it's the Climate Prediction Center's method of showing that the odds of that particular weather feature happening go up. So near normal, leaning, a little more likely, and I would say sort of very likely once you get into this third darkest shade here on the map. So warmer than normal, looking a little more likely. That being said, we are seeing signs that the beginning of December starts chilly. And these outlooks aren't meant to say that it is going to be drier all the time or warmer all the time. You can still get bursts of chillier air or wetter weather, but it's the month as a whole will look the way that the Climate Prediction Center is expecting it to look. Of course, we talk about this often, you and I, Esme. Mm-hmm. These are the preliminary outlooks. They put out their final outlook on the final day before the new month begins. So the final day of November, which is just a few days away now, this Sunday, we'll get another updated December outlook, and I'll be sure to update our blog with the new outlook information here next Monday when that comes in, when I'm back at work. So this preliminary view comes out a couple of weeks before a month begins, and then the day before the new month begins, it's sort of the final view.
Official view.
Yeah, it's sort of the last look, the last gasp outlook at that month.
And is there any room for change? Can we go to maybe cooler?
Yeah, it's certainly possible that signs of the chillier start to December may have an impact on what the December outlook looks like as a whole. Here's what is normal for December. So when we're comparing it, drier than normal, warmer than normal, this is what we're comparing against. So an average high of 67 degrees at the beginning of December drops to an average high by the end of the month of 62. Our average low goes from 46 at the beginning of the month to 42 at the end. It's actually our second coldest month. And I'm going to say that might surprise you because I think probably people think of February as being colder than December.
January, February, definitely both.
Yeah, I mean, January is our coldest month, but I think probably most people think that that's probably true.
Well, February isn't the entire month. It's more the beginning of the month.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. And the beginning of the month is the times that, at least more recently, when we've had some wintry weather events. We've also had ice and snow, more freezes, that sort of thing. Typically, the final freeze of the colder months happens around the middle of February, and then we actually quickly warm by the end of February. So that's why February isn't colder than December. So, but December, second coldest month of the year on average. We also average a little under 3 inches of rain, 2.72 to be exact. These are all 30-year averages for Austin's Camp Mabry from the years 1991 to 2020. And they'll adjust those 30-year averages every 10 years. So they adjust them in 10-year blocks. And we'll be waiting until about 2030 to do that next adjustment. It's also our fifth driest month. So it's right pretty close to the middle of the pack as not being the wettest month, not being the driest month. But winter, which begins December 1st, is our driest season.
Yeah, and we're waiting for that. We're almost there, getting to December. What about freezes? What months have the most freezes?
Yeah, that's a good question. December, we usually get some. The average first freeze in Austin is actually December 1st. We, over the course of 30 years, though, have averaged one in November. December
Not
gets
this year, though,
3.
right?
No, we haven't had any freezes in Austin yet this season. We have, of course, last winter, but not yet this season. And we're not forecasting any freezes in Austin until December. December averages 3 freezes, though. And then January has the most with 5, February 2, and then you can see how it drops off into March, where we get on average 1. So you can see how that adds up. Let me do the quick math. I think it's 12. 12 average freezes per year in Austin, with the most there being in January. Now, last year we did get more freezes than normal, even though we had a very late first freeze. So the first freeze is not necessarily indicative of how many freezes you're going to get, because you can still get more than normal in a winter, even if that first one doesn't come until January like it did last year.
Mm-hmm. So what do you expect for this December? Do you think we'll get our first freeze earlier in the month or later in the month?
Yeah, I'm thinking the first couple of weeks of December. We are seeing signs of Austin getting its first 30s for nighttime lows here the first week or so of the month. Here's where the average highs are in a typical winter in Austin. 64 in December, 63 in January, 67 in February. Mm-hmm. So not a whole lot of jumping around necessarily. Yeah, it's a little bit of a U with that January being there at the bottom. And as far as precipitation goes, it only gets drier as we head through winter. So December's our wettest month of winter, January second wettest, and then February there being drier until we get into spring, and then it starts getting wetter again. Of course, spring being our wettest season of the year. So we have our driest season of winter followed by our wettest season of spring back to back. And sometimes a drier than normal winter can actually have somewhat of a feedback loop that affects summer and even to some extent spring. The drier the soil is coming out of winter, the easier it is to heat up in the spring and then possibly the summer if we don't get our spring rain. So what happens in winter can have an effect on what happens later in the year. I do want to give a shameless plug to this is not so much shameless, KXAN's Winter Weather Outlook, which is going to be
special, right?
Yeah, well, we've got daily stories Monday through Thursday next week, and we've got a big 30-minute special Thursday evening of next week. I believe it's the 4th of December, Thursday the 4th at 8:30 on KXAN. So we're going to be diving into a lot of aspects of the winter, and we'll also include our own KXAN First Warning Weather Team's forecast for this winter.
Exciting.
That'll come next week too. So the start of meteorological winter, bringing the start of us talking more about meteorological winter.
And can you give us a sneak peek preview of what topic you covered for this?
Yeah, I dive into what we talk about a lot on this show, which is La Nina. Of course, we're already in La Nina now, expected to be a weak, short-lived La Nina. So I talked with a couple experts about what that could mean, why we can still get cold and wintry blasts during what is typically a warmer and drier winter with a La Nina. So that's the topic I dive into. We also talk and look back at the winter storm of 2021 and how still seemingly fresh in the memory that is every time we talk about wintry weather. Certainly in the back of a lot of people's mind, if you're around here in 2021 or even the ice storm of 2023, people can't forget about that. Almost every time we have the threat for some wintry weather. We also dive into the difference in the fact that our lakes are doing really well, but our aquifers sure are not. So a lot of different aspects. And then we look at how climate change is impacting winter, not just this winter, but the winters to come. And then finally, we talk about how area emergency services and airports and things prepare and get ready for wintry weather. So lots of different topics. And then we'll cap it off with our winter weather outlook specifically for Central Texas and what we can expect here and what we're thinking.
Awesome. We're excited to watch that. And it will also be playing on our CTV streaming app, KXAN Plus. You can watch that anytime after next week. It'll be on there. I did want to ask you if there was an update from our topic last week that Tommy sat in with us to talk about, the sudden stratospheric warming. Is that having an effect on this December?
Yeah, it's having an impact, especially on the northern tier of states. We are seeing a high likelihood of that colder air impacting them. To some extent, we're going to feel that chill the final day of November into the first few days of December here, but not to the extent of the northern tier states, which are going to get much colder and snowier. So we're just going to get a little bit, more of a cold front, really, than the huge impacts from the sudden stratospheric warming event. And then temperatures start to moderate again as we head through the end of next week. So it's not dire for us, but sometimes these events can have slower impacts than anticipated. So we'll have to keep an eye on that second week of December, which is too far from our current outlooks to get any sort of decent forecasting on, just to see whether then we start to feel some of those impacts here locally. But for right now, early next week looks cold, 30s at night, 50s during the day, but nothing horrible or nothing super unusual for early December.
And you both were right, you and Tommy, when you were saying that a lot of individuals out there are scared or seeing things online.
Yeah.
After that stream that we did, and I went home and kind of went about my day over the weekend out in the community, I was also hearing a lot of people scared about that topic.
Yeah, and you have to realize that there are a lot of people online who like sharing almost the worst case scenario to get clicks, which sometimes leads to monetization for them. So you just got to be careful about where you're trusting your sources and how believable those sources may be. Some people online are just trying to get the word out. Others are trying to get a lot of clicks and likes and shares for their own personal gain. So just be careful about the sources that you're checking into.
But you explained it in your article, right?
Yeah. That was last week's article there on the different ways that Arctic air can get to Central Texas. And then, of course, this week, under the same tab, the Weather and Traffic tab, under Weather Blogs, we've got this blog, which is the December Outlook that we published here. just a couple of days before Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Oh, that's
and
true.
It's out for you to read today. So it covers a lot of what we talked about, and a few extra nuggets there too. Certainly, I hope you give it a read and download the KXAN weather app. As we head into winter, it's going to be become more and more handy.
Yes. Anything that you're looking forward to, Nick, before we start December?
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to Thanksgiving
Yeah.
and eating and some time off with my family. Sometimes we're like ships passing in the night at home. So it'll be good to get some bonding time in with the kids and my wife.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone is looking forward to that. Thank you for joining us, Nick. Oh, we got a snowman on our screen.
Oh, yes. That was one of the pictures that we got from last winter when it snowed, only about an inch. But hey, give us an inch, we'll give you a mile, and we'll give you a snowman too.
Yeah, this December, if we do get any snow or wintry weather, please send us those photos right there. You can see at reportit at KXAN.com.
Yeah, KXAN.com/reportit, and then fill out a quick form, and then we'd love your photos. We can share them online, on TV, but keep us in mind if you see something cool like that.
Yes, and later today, we will have another Friendsgiving update.
Yes, now we've got 34 minutes left for the evening team to make a dramatic comeback. Some don't believe in miracles. I do. I think it's possible. I think it's a far stretch here today.
Yeah.
But KXAN.com/Friendsgiving evening team would love your help.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Nick, for joining me here on KXAN Plus, and we will see you next time on Nick's First Warning.
See you then.